Austin is a high-tech hub. It's home, for example, to Dell. I think there's no question that China has played a role in Austin's growth and prosperity. I've had this Chinese name since I was 18 years old. And so it's the only Chinese name I've ever had. And the Chinese teacher who gave it to me said that the Fang stands for 志在四方, and the 大为 stands for 大有作为. So great ambition, great accomplishment.
David has served as a U.S. diplomat in China for several terms, and also worked in China-U.S. relations research for the U.S. government and many think tanks.
My first visit to China was in 1984, and I went there as a 16-year-old. It kind of colored my thinking about what I wanted to study in college. How do I combine desire to have a career in public service with a desire to do something that has an international focus? For me, the answer was I wanted to become a U.S. diplomat. And in 1992, I had the opportunity and the honor of becoming a U.S. diplomat. I served as a U.S. diplomat in Beijing on two different occasions. One was from 1993 to 97. I later served as a diplomat for a shorter period of time, about a year and a half. If you were to add all of the time that I've lived in Beijing together, it's about 6 years.
David stayed with a Chinese foster family during his youth. This experience affects his value of life and also lays the foundation of his views on China-U.S. relations.
When I was a 21-year-old student at Peking University, and so I have a Chinese mom, and I kind of became, over time, the fourth kid of the family. We fight like a family, and we love each other like a family. It's a privilege for me to have experienced China in that way, but also it's given me an insight into the real life of average people. For U.S.-China relations, ultimately, was the people-to-people bond that existed between the peoples of our nations. And that as long as we get the people-to-people part of the relationship right, that the U.S.-China relationship can never go too far off track.
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37.
Blame for this recession was spending.
Shock and panic.
Firm filed for bankruptcy.
The financial crisis of 2008, 2009, U.S. confidence started to deteriorate. This administration views China differently than all previous U.S. presidential administrations dating back to Nixon.
We will make America great again!
Federal policy toward China has started to take a turn in a more contentious and sort of negative direction. And I've said it very strongly and repeatedly since, China is not the enemy of our nation. And God forbid that we should ever make it so, or that China should ever make us their enemy. Now have to step up and do our best to mitigate. China is a formidable competitor to the United States. It's the most formidable competitor that we will ever have as a nation for the lifetimes of every living and breathing person on this planet. But there's a big difference between saying that a country is a competitor versus saying it is an enemy. And we're in a competition, but competition makes all of us stronger. Competition is what generates innovation in the world. Competition is what generates progress. We need to focus on the one thing that we can control, and that's our own performance. We need to get our own house in order and do the things as a country that make us stronger, more competitive, more formidable, more robust as an economy. Worry more about that than about what others are doing. The U.S.-China relationship matters a lot to the United States. I've called it the most consequential bilateral relationship in the history of the world. We want to do our part to generate a higher quality status quo for this relationship and a better situation for the world at large.